Hello YouTube stackers, this is ST with Silver Stacking 101 coming to you with a new video. Originally today I had planned to do a video on the greatest Ponzi scheme of all, which by the way is Social Security. I'm going to postpone that video and I'm going to cover something else, and that is silver in a cashless society. The genesis of this video came from an email I received from a viewer. Trade wrote, ST, I found your YouTube channel a couple of weeks ago and have learned more from you than many others. You put things in a perspective I can understand. Thank you for taking the time to do this. Thank you for the compliment, Trade. I have stacked a little silver, but all the talk of going cashless has me wondering about how to sell silver in the future and get it into digits to pay bills. My fear is the government might put a capital gains tax on the sale of silver, or worse, allow the sale only to certain companies who set the price low. I would be very interested in your thoughts on these ideas. Looking forward to your website. Thanks again, T. Well, first of all, there is a capital gains tax already on silver. Watch the video on Wednesday. I'm going to cover taxes on investments, capital gains, and how it applies to the silver market. Okay, let's talk about a cashless society. We are going to a cashless society. The proof is all around us. Just go to the store and watch how few people pay with currency and how many use debit cards and credit cards, even for the smallest of transactions. Allow me to tell you a little bit about where I live. If you heard of BFE, well, you have to drive through BFE to the yonder side of BFE, 22.8 miles to get to my house. Where I live only has two stores, a Dollar General and a gas station. I'm talking out in the middle of nowhere. If you have ever seen Deliverance, it's kind of like that. You hear banjos? You better get the long guns. Do not rely on your sidearm. Out here in the sticks, when I go to Dollar General, it seems like over 80% of the people are using debit cards. So cash is going away. The government hates cash. Banks hate cash. Well, why are we going to a cashless society? And it will be eventually mandated. Two reasons: increased revenue for the government and banks, and control. Let's talk about each one of these two reasons, and then we'll go to why that impacts silver. First of all, many years ago when I was coming up, we rode a horse and buggy to the store if we didn't have to walk 8 miles uphill both ways, and we paid cash for our purchases. The bank didn't get a cut of our purchases. Now the banks get a cut of all retail purchases made with debit cards. They might have charged a few cents to process a check if we wrote a check. Now every transaction where a debit card or credit card is used, the bank makes money. If we go all cashless, it puts the banks in a greater position to make money. Who controls the government? The Fed, because if you watched other videos, they have the gold. And remember the golden rule, not he who do unto others, but who has the gold makes the rules. The second issue on the revenue side is for the government. The government can collect additional taxes. It will be very difficult for someone to hide assets and hide income streams. I'm not advocating hiding income streams, but it will be more difficult. The government will sell the cashless idea to us for our security. Kind of like, you remember the Patriot Act? It was really for our security, and it took our rights. We can be sold as the American public anything if it uses the word make us safer. And they will cite the ability to stop crime. What is the largest sector of crime growing now? White collar crime, primarily computer frauds in the financial arena. So it's not going to make us safer to be more susceptible to computer crime. This other issue they want to do is control. The government and the globalists want to control us. If they control your currency, or let's just call currency money for this example, if they control your spending ability, your ability to attain the goods and services that you need to survive, they control you. It's hard to control someone walking around with a pocket full of cash in a free society that could choose to buy what they want to buy. The government can seize your assets very quickly if the only money is electronic money. Right now, someone has to physically come out, kick your door in, search it, find it, to get it. That will not be the case with totally electronic money. So, on the control issue, I want to add one example to that. Use Google and Google Operation Choke Point if you are not familiar with it. Operation Choke Point was used under the Obama administration to shut down businesses that the administration did not agree with. It was originally intended for money laundering businesses, but the administration started using it for gun dealers. I am very familiar with one of the gun dealers whose bank wrote him a letter and said, "We cannot deal with you anymore. The federal government has asked us not to do business with you." This gun dealer in question was not under suspicion by local, state, or federal law enforcement. This guy was straight as an arrow. It happened to a lot of gun dealers where the federal government came to their banks and said, "We don't want you doing business with XYZ gun shop." Now, if a gun dealer cannot process their credit cards, run their checks, have an avenue to order product and pay for the product, they're out of business. Luckily, this gun dealer found a smaller bank who said, "We're going to deal with you no matter what." But SunTrust Bank in that particular instance would not deal with them, even though they had no banking issues with SunTrust and no entanglements with law enforcement. That's how control can work, especially when they can control your financial assets. Now, when we go to a cashless society, what's this going to mean for silver? From the purchasing side, whenever you buy silver, you're going to be put on the government's radar because they can track it very easily. If you don't believe it, look at the WikiLeaks Vault 7 release from the Central Intelligence Agency. and the CIA is minor league compared to what the NSA can do. So, it will be impossible to accumulate silver buying retail, mail order, wherever without leaving a substantial paper trail. That's problem number one. Problem number two is, what can you do with your silver? One good thing is, silver does have a recognized value. Anything can be considered currency. Google Tide laundry detergent as currency. You probably have not heard of this. Drug dealers were taking Tide laundry detergent as currency for transactions. And there's several articles about that. I saw it when it first came out, and I thought that was extremely interesting, so I remembered it and checked it on Google, and yes, it's there. Go look at it. Anything can be considered currency. Also, when they switch to cashless, and again, they're going to, it's still going to crash. The dollar's still going to go away. Another reason they will switch is they can start seizing money to keep the dollar longer, such as Cyprus did with their bank depositors and the bail-in. But the dollar is still going to crash. So something's going to have to fill the void. Silver is not necessarily going to be the only thing that fills the void. Gold's not going to be the only thing that fills the void. Ammunition will have value, for crying out loud. But it gives you, the holder of silver, a head start over any replacement that comes along, and some insulation from the economic upheaval. So selling your silver will be a problem when we go cashless, but that'll be the latter stages before the complete crash of the dollar. So probably wouldn't want to be selling at that point anyway. Probably would want to be holding it, and to stay off people's radar, probably would not be wanting to accumulate a whole bunch of it after the changeover to total electronic currency. Trade, I hope this answered your questions. My email is stsilverstacker@gmail.com. Please subscribe. Laid Back Wednesday's not going to be too laid back this week. We're going to get into tax stuff, and I'll try not to put you to sleep. And nature of the subject, it's going to be a little boring. Even if you don't ever plan on selling silver, if you ever plan on selling investment real estate or stocks or whatever, tune into that one, because what I'm going to go over applies not only to precious metals, but capital gain transactions in general. God bless you. Thank you for watching. Subscribe, please.